Hello and welcome to the Evening News for Friday, April 25, 2014. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. In the headlines, 2 suspects held for salesman murder. PPPC accuses AFC of deep-rooted hypocrisy following AFC's call for Hasib's resignation. Months later and still no progress made on cracking the Colwyn Harding case. High-level CIVITAP officials arrive in Guyana tomorrow and Abram Zul Secondary shines at the Science Fair. Now for the news in detail. We start off by telling you that 2 men who are allegedly responsible for the robbery and murder of Bharat Ramcharan have been arrested by ranks of the Guyana Police Force. The men are the main suspects and will remain in custody to assist the police in their investigations. Additionally, an unlicensed .38 revolver with 4 rounds have been recovered by the police. The Enterprise resident was a driver salesman attached to Patsan Trading. It was while he was entering the business premises that he was attacked by the men, shot and killed. The People's Progressive Party Civic today chastised the leadership of the Alliance for Change, the AFC, for demanding the resignation of one of its Regional 6 councillors as it accused the AFC of deep-rooted hypocrisy. Jomo Paul reports.
The ruling People's Progressive Party Civic has condemned attempts by the Alliance for Change to undermine one of its own members by calling for his resignation. The party was referring to the AFC's position on its Region 6 councillor, Hasib Yusuf. The People's Progressive Party Civic said that the AFC's desperation and attempt to undermine Yusuf has exposed its, I quote, deep-rooted hypocrisy, end of quote, and the fact that the AFC is having severe internal problems. In the release, the party also pointed to the fact that when resignation calls were made for both Ramjatan and Raphael Trotman, they refused to vacate their parliamentary seats. Late yesterday afternoon, the Alliance for Change had issued a release calling for Yusuf to vacate his RDC seat on the council. The party had contended that Yusuf had publicly attacked the Alliance for Change and its leadership with the intention of discrediting them. The release also noted that the leadership has since taken the decision to inform Yusuf that he is no longer a representative of the party. Strife and factionalism has ruled the arena of Alliance for Change politics since they first emerged in the political scene a few years ago. Earlier this month, the party's financial advisor, Sesnarain Singh, had resigned. To date, the post is still vacant.
It has been over 5 months since the Guyana Police Force was tasked with investigating the alleged Colwyn Harding baton rape saga, but to date there has been no solid recommendation with respect to the course of action to be taken against the alleged perpetrators. Let's find out more in this report.
On Thursday last, Director of Public Prosecutions Shalimar Ali Haq told reporters that the Colwyn Harding file was not at her chambers, although the police as recent as last week refuted a report by one of the daily newspapers which stated the file was still with the police. The DPP explained that she would have looked at the file and resent it to the police, recommending further investigations since there were some loopholes found. The Office of Professional Responsibility within the Guyana Police Force was asked to get statements from other witnesses since it was vital for the DPP in making her final recommendations. Acting Police Commissioner Silal Prasad said the last he knew was that the file was with the DPP. He also presumed that the file might have been in transition to another office, which is quite normal as police carry out their investigations. Hours after, the Guyana Police Force in a release stated that the file was still with the Police Complaints Authority Chairman Cecil Kennard for further perusal. Kennard will again be tasked with reading the additional evidence and make his recommendations, which will then be forwarded to the DPP for her final advice. Harding had accused ranks of the Timeri Police Station, in particular a constable, of sodomizing him with a baton. This incident reportedly occurred in November last. Reporting for the Evening News, Gomanti Gangadan.
Opposition leader retired Brigadier David Granger is now claiming that the voting down of the University of Guyana's student loan subvention was not a premeditated act. Let's find out more from Alexis Rodney.
Party leader David Granger is claiming that he is willing to give an in-depth explanation to the University of Guyana Student Society regarding the decision which may have left them puzzled. According to him, it was never the party's intention to trample on the students' education. For him, the party was caught between a rock and a hard place.
In this case, on the head 03, in the details of capital expenditure, arrangements for or proposals for the students' loan, of $450 million had been included with other items which a Partnership for National Unity was dissatisfied.
When questioned by the Speaker regarding its approval, Granger said the opposition could not offer its support since the Finance Ministry had bundled the items it would not support together with the UG allocation. He explained.
The students' loan, which was not a target of disapproval by Partnership for National Unity, suffered because other items such as the Low Carbon Development Program were bunched. But my recommendation at this point in time is for the Minister of Finance to disaggregate the different heads and bring them back as supplementary provisions individually.
The opposition leader said the crisis could have been avoided if only government had kept its promise. He said since 2011 the opposition had been seeking the establishment of tripartite committee discussions to avoid collisions during the national budget debate. The absence of the committee, Granger noted, has led to inadequate discussions on the proposals in the national budget, resulting in major challenges. Last week, the combined parliamentary opposition voted against funding for several finance ministry programs, including the $450 million allocation to the University of Guyana for student loans. UG's Vice-Chancellor Professor Jacob Opadeyi had said that if the decision to axe the budgetary allocation was not soon reversed, a severe crisis will ensue at the tertiary institution. For the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
A high-profile delegation from the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, CFATF, will be in Guyana at the weekend, meeting with Guyanese leaders on the impasse surrounding the non-passage of the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Amendment Bill in the National Assembly. Let's find out more from Svetlana Marshall.
Tomorrow, the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, CFATF Chairperson Alison Maynard Gibson and Executive Director Calvin Wilson will meet with Guyanese leaders on the country's failure to pass the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Amendment Bill in the National Assembly. The government has laid the blame at the feet of the opposition, saying the process has been dragged out, especially with the introduction of proposed amendments to the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Act of 2009. Currently, the opposition is still making changes to its initial proposal submitted in February. Leader of the opposition, David Granger, said APNU will justify its move to the CFATF officials tomorrow.
Our position has been consistently that we are concerned about the architecture of the anti-money laundering and the mechanism, particularly in the FIU. We feel that the appointments to the FIU should be taken out of the hands of politicians who themselves are politically exposed persons. And we feel that there must be a more transparent mechanism for the appointment of those persons.
Maynard Gibson and Wilson are also scheduled to meet with the government, CARICOM, General Secretary Ambassador Erwin LaRocque, and the private sector. With CFATF's May 21 plenary meeting in Miami gradually approaching, Guyana's Attorney General and Legal Affairs Minister Anil Nanlal said the high-profile officials are seizing the opportunity to re-emphasize the importance of passing a bill that is in compliance with CFATF standards. Minister Nanlal, who sits on the Parliamentary Special Select Committee that is considering the AML-CFT Amendment Bill, said government welcomes the opportunity once again to re-engage CFATF.
More news still ahead. Stay tuned. This is the Evening News. With much excitement and cheers, Abraham Zul Secondary School on the Essequibo Coast emerged the winner in both the oral presentation and best project categories at the National Science, Mathematics and Technology Fair 2014. The fair, held at the Anna Regina Secondary School under the theme Science, Mathematics and Technology, Providing Solution for the 21st Century, concluded on Friday. The school captured the judges' attention with their project, Husk Particle Board Factory, in the industrial category. Science teachers and students from the school creatively designed a factory converting paddy husk or paddy waste product into solid wood. According to student Atina Indar, who did the oral presentation, when rice factories burn their paddy husk, a large amount of carbon dioxide are emitted in the atmosphere, which is environmentally unfriendly. Indar said instead of burning the paddy husk, it can be used to manufacture low-cost, durable particle board suitable for construction in Guyana and the Caribbean. The United States Embassy is now reporting that further discussions have been held between the U.S. and Guyana governments regarding the United States Agency for International Development, Leadership and Democracy project. More from Alexis Rodney.
The last meeting held just over 4 weeks ago saw Head of State President Donald Ramotar, Foreign Affairs Minister Caroline Rodriguez Burkett, and Presidential Advisor on Governance Gail Teixeira meeting with the U.S. Ambassador. Reports emanating from that meeting suggested that it was fruitful. At another meeting held on Thursday, this time with Head of the Presidential Secretariat, Dr. Roger Lynchen, and the Ambassador, several concerns held by Guyana's government were raised. The Ambassador then related that those concerns would have been conveyed to the U.S. aid and the U.S. Department. According to the embassy, the perspectives raised will seek to find a mutually agreeable way forward for both parties, supporting the interests of the people of Guyana in strong and vibrant democratic institutions and civic education. The embassy said that since 2009, the collaboration between the United States and Guyana has been conducted within the framework of the Assistance Agreement between the two countries for governing justly and democratically. This agreement runs until September 2015. Meanwhile, efforts made by this newscast to contact the Cabinet Secretary for comment proved futile. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
The Central Islamic Organization of Guyana, the CIOG, today offered financial assistance to 18-year-old Amir Ali of Enmore Estate, East Coast Demerara, who was involved in an accident and lost his leg and suffered facial injuries in 2013. In order to resume a normal productive life and to be able to walk again, Amir required a lower limb prosthetics, the cost of which was $26,000. The friends and family of Amir had raised $20,000, and with the help of CIOG, GAFSON's group of companies, organizations from Canada and the USA attained the remaining $6,000 to complete a payment for the lower limb prosthetics. The CIOG continues to offer assistance to Guyanese across the country, especially those less fortunate, through generous donations from various sponsors. Acting Police Commissioner Silal Posot says that the investigation by the police into the recently unearthed scam at the Guyana Gold Board is still in its early stage, even though it commenced over 3 weeks ago. Joe Paul reports.
The investigation is continuing. That will take a lot of time. There is a lot of evidence that we need to go through.
How many persons have been questioned as far as you know?
I don't have the number.
So how would you describe the stage of the investigation?
It is still early. It is still in the early stages.
No one has confessed as far as...
No.
That was Acting Police Commissioner Silal Posot as he explained the investigative process involving the scam at the Guyana Gold Board. It was recently announced by Natural Resources Minister that a complete forensic audit into the operations at the Gold Board had commenced. These pronouncements would come after a comprehensive scheme was unearthed at the Gold Board's Bartica office involving several employees. 7 of the employees from the office at Bartica and Georgetown were detained by the police for questioning in the earlier stages of the investigation. The Bartica branch also remains closed until such time the Natural Resources Minister gives the reopening order. For the Evening News, Jomo Paul.
More on the Evening News after this break. Stay tuned. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. In the courts, a Sophia resident on Friday pleaded guilty to the charge of possession of narcotics when he appeared in the Georgetown Magistrates Courts before Chief Magistrate Priya Sinarayan Bihari. The charge alleged that on April 23, 2014, Nigel Hames was found in possession of 4 grams of cannabis. Hames, who was unrepresented, was fined $3,000 and ordered to do 6 months community service every Sunday at a Turkine police station. Some residents of Durban Street are concerned about a pole which may soon collapse if the Guyana Power and Light Company does not intervene. Alexis Rodney explains.
Frustrated residents of Durban Street lamented their distress over numerous attempts of failing to get GPL's cooperation in trying to fix a lantern post which may soon collapse.
We would get like load shedding, fluctuation of the current and stuff. We would get sparks from the wire because the post is actually deteriorating, as you can see. Woodans eating the post out from the top on the bottom. Right now, there is nothing at the bottom supporting this post. Right? We calling GPS since last year. Every time we call them, they're promising to come change the post. We called them 2 weeks ago. Saturday night, they sent technicians. However, they say they can't do anything about it until the Monday. Monday come, nobody come until now. My mother was in there like, I think it's yesterday or the day before yesterday, and they promised to send somebody to look into it. Nobody come up to know. We have children around this neighborhood. People traverse through here from Hatfield Street to Durban Street. We have children playing in this yard, children playing in the alleyway. Should this wire fall down and burst, is the life current going through the ground.
Other attempts were made to get help from the fire service, which stated that nothing could be done without the presence of a GPL. Residents have also reported that the Public Utilities Commission had given them a difficult time, insisting that a reference number is needed in order for a complaint to be lodged. In the past, residents of several communities have lamented that the power company only responds when there is a crisis or when a fire breaks out as a result of a fallen pole.
Meanwhile, the Guyana Power and Light GPL will be installing a series of units and generator sets to meet the demands of the growing population in Essequibo. Here are details.
With increasing calls for the Guyana Power and Light GPL to improve its ability to generate and distribute power in Essequibo, the power company will be installing heavy fuel oil, HFO fire baseload units and generator sets to meet the demands. In a press statement today, GPL pointed out that one new 4-megawatt HFO fire baseload unit will be installed in Anna Regina, while a 2-megawatt HFO fire unit will be installed in Bartica. Additionally, 3 new 500-kilowatt sets are being acquired for Lekwan and Wakenham. It was explained that this will not only significantly increase the quality of supply, but will also enable residents in these islands to enjoy a 24-hour service 7 days a week. According to GPL, these works are testimony of its commitment to residents of Essequibo and the rest of Guyana. In a letter to the editor in the Guyana Times newspaper on Wednesday, Mohammed Khan, a resident of Essequibo, blasts GPL over the high influx of power outages on the Essequibo coast. It was this article that prompted the release from GPL. In the release, GPL linked the power outages to kites near power lines.
Demerara Bank Limited has performed remarkably well in the first quarter of the year ending March 31. The bank is reporting a profit after taxation of $760.6 million against a profit of $577.6 million in 2013, an increase of 32%. The deposit base of the bank was $40.4 billion compared to $38.3 billion as at March 31. The bank in a release said significant improvements are reflected in the areas of loans and advances, which increased to $19.7 billion from $16 billion, registering a rise of 23% when compared to the corresponding year 2013, while investment increased to $19.1 billion from $18.1 billion. In case you just joined us, this is the Evening News. Stay tuned for more news tonight. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. APNEW's Member of Parliament, Dr. Karen Cummings, has registered the party's growing concern over the spiraling interpersonal violence in Ghana, saying that it is more than just a social and psychological problem. Alexis Rodney explains.
Dr. Cummings at the party's weekly press conference today explained that interpersonal violence involves any physical, psychological or sexual acts carried out intentionally on a person of a close relation. Those acts, she noted, can cause significant health problems which require the intervention of everyone concerned.
It has been established that alcohol is a risk factor for domestic abuse. Studies at both individual and population levels have shown a causal relationship between alcohol use and violence. The strength of the association, of course, varies between cultural norms, the drinking patterns, and the volume consumed. And owing to that, the spin-off effect is that this situation limits the ability to women to manage their chronic illness, be it diabetes or hypertension. If the mother is pregnant, you'll find her going to the clinic, the antenatal or prenatal clinic, at a late stage, at maybe her third trimester. Later, you might find that she may have an infant that's failed to thrive.
Dr. Cummings said that while interpersonal violence affects everyone at some point, it is highly prevalent among the female population. According to her, women are 3 times more likely to be injured as a result of violence, 5 times more likely to require medical attention, and 5 times more likely to lodge a report fearing for their lives.
The World Health Organization estimated the prevalence rates of between 10% and 69% in countries around the world. And coming back in terms of declaration, in 1993, to go back a little, they had the Declaration on the Elimination of Violence Against Women in 1993. In 1994, the Inter-American Convention on the Prevention, Punishment, and Eradication of Violence Against Women was born. And right here in Guyana, the Domestic Violence Act was passed in 1996. It's a women issue, really.
Dr. Cummings used the opportunity to solicit the participation of the government, pointing out that the situation has been on the cards for quite too long. She said that the issue has spilled over greatly to society, affecting the family and the country as a whole. For the evening news, I'm Alexis Rodney.
Back in the courts, the 45-year-old Caneville East Bank Demerara man who was accused of killing his brother, Jairam Tikaram, between April 20 and 22, 2014, made his first court appearance today in the Georgetown Magistrates Court before Chief Magistrate Priya Narayan Bihari. Rohan Tikaram, a labourer, allegedly brutally murdered his brother after the two had an argument on Sunday evening, during which Jairam Tikaram was chopped about his body and left in the yard covered with a piece of carpet. His body was discovered at around 6 hours 30 on Tuesday. The accused was unrepresented and was not required to plead to the indictable charge. Advice was sought from the Director of Public Prosecution, Bibi Shalimar Ali Haq, and there were some issues with the police that needed to be clarified, hence investigations are continuing. Tikaram is remanded until May 12, when he will make another appearance before Chief Magistrate Priya Narayan Bihari in the Georgetown Magistrates Court. This is the evening news. Stay tuned for sports, sponsored by Macor. After the break. Welcome back. Now for a look at sport, but first, the headlines. Sport Minister addresses the issue of funding for local athletes. Scores graduate from Easter Tennis Camp, and Sunrisers and Chennai win in IPL 2014. Of course, our sportcast comes to the kind compliments of Macor.
This is the machine you asked for, and it's what we are delivering. Introducing the new CAT D2 series.
Improvements made with you in mind. A mechanically controlled engine designed to cope with Guyana's toughest conditions. Lower fuel consumption and less maintenance, which reduces your owning and operating costs. The highest productivity in the market. Robust design, which is built to last.
Macor, the only authorized Caterpillar dealer in Guyana, bringing integrated solutions for your success.
Let's build Guyana together.
Welcome back. Now for the details. Sport Minister Dr. Frank Anthony on Thursday delved into the issue of funding for athletes and the way in which the situation can improve in Guyana's growing economy. Tristan Joseph reports.
Guyana finished 4th at the recently concluded Junior Carifta Games, its highest placing in the history of the event, which caused the Minister of Sport, Dr. Frank Anthony, to highlight that more needs to be done for Guyana's athletes.
It's always a challenge when athletes have to go abroad. You know, they have to mobilize resources, they have to go into training and things like that. That's an additional stress. So if we can have a collaboration where we can minimize these things, I think that's the ideal for us to aspire to. We are not there yet, but you know, we have a bit more work to do, and especially with Cooperate Guyana.
Dr. Anthony also highlighted the reason for the government's inability to fully contribute to the athletes.
Right now, and if you look at the structure of our budget, you would have seen that that was under a lot of scrutiny. And you would see from our budget, when you analyze the budget structure, that we really don't have any kind of discretionary monies where we can just offer money to athletes and so forth. Right? So it is a challenge, but we can only work with what we have. And right now, what we have in the budget is really to complete what we're doing at Lenora and to be able to offer coaches and so forth.
However, Dr. Anthony shared the type of assistance that the ministry will be able to give before the year is concluded.
To get to the next level, I think you need professional coaching. And that's what we'll be offering with the Cuban coach that is coming in, right? Someone that would have vast experience in the area of coaching. So that's one of the things that we'll be doing.
Funding for sportsmen and women has been a bugbear for many local associations, as there are not a high number of businesses who regularly support sport.
Now for some cricket news. Sunrisers Hyderabad's much talked about top order finally clicked as they edged Delhi Daredevils by 4 wickets to register their first win of the Pepsi IPL. Aaron Finch blasted 88 not out from 53 balls and David Warner cracked 58 not out as Sunrisers piled up 184 for 1 with Shikhar Dhawan falling for 33. In reply, Murali Vijay 52 and Quinton de Kock 48 added 99 for the first wicket, but Delhi Daredevils fell short at 180 for 4. In the second game of the day, Brendan McCullum stroked a fluent 71 not out as Chennai Super Kings overhauled Mumbai Indians 141 for 7 by 7 wickets with an over to spare. Dwayne Smith had given the run chase a fiery start with 4 sixes in 29 after Rohit Sharma 50 and Corey Anderson 39 had done the bulk of the scoring for Mumbai Indians. The IPL will continue tomorrow with Rajasthan Royals against the Royal Challengers Bangalore and the Kolkata Knight Riders against Kings 11 Punjab. Finally, several young Guyanese are now better equipped to play the game of tennis following the conclusion of a 2-week Easter camp organized by the Park Players Tennis Club. We visited camp earlier today and here's what we found out. The 2-week course was the first such activity organized by Park Players Tennis Club and was conducted by national coach Shelly Daly Ramdian at the National Racket Center on Wolford Avenue. Speaking to this newscast at the conclusion of the camp, Daly Ramdian pointed out that there is a demand for such programs as there is a large group of youngsters who have an interest in learning the game.
We had a total of 38 or 39 kids, I think, and it was a nice bunch of kids to work with because some of them went on vacation. I was comfortable with the amount that we had because of the short time that they had and because of other people's schedule, so it was perfect for us.
After the 2 weeks of training, the players were divided into various categories based on their age and skills level and competed in what turned out to be exciting mini competitions. At the end of it all, Salona Ramsarup won the beginners 4 to 6 years category ahead of Maria Khan, while the under 10 was won by Khalid Adams with Alexi Hopkinson settling for the runner-up spot. The under 12 orange ball was won by Robin Baldwin, while the under 12 green ball saw Sean Singh emerging victorious and Jordan Beaton copying the under 12 yellow ball. Meanwhile, Daly Ramdian also highlighted that Guyana will be sending a strong team to compete in the Antigua Invitational under 12 tournament from May 2 to 6, with some of the very players from the camp set to represent the Golden Arrowhead.
I think after this year they're going to make it officially an ITF tournament where the players get points officially. But Guyana did well last year in the girls category. We won that category, and so we're going back. Some of the players that played last year are now better off in terms of experience and exposure, so they're going out there, especially Jordan Beaton that won the yellow ball competition. He was a participant last year there, so he's going with, there's high expectation of him playing very well. So, we expect to do very well at the tournament.
During the camp, Daly Ramdian had teamed up with national player Leland Leacock to conduct the sessions with assistance from leading local players Daniel Lopes and Gavin Lewis. She lauded all those who assisted in making the camp a success, singling out the participants and their parents for investing their time. And with that, we've come to the end of the Sport News, sponsored by MarCorp. Of course, you can find these and many more stories in tomorrow's edition of the Guyana Times. And here's an invitation to join us on TVG Channel 28 and on Radio Guyana Inc. 89.3 in Essequibo, 89.5 in Georgetown environs, and 89.7 in Berbice and Unicary, Suriname. Stay tuned. Your bridge reports on the other side of the break.
This is the machine you asked for, and it's what we are delivering. Introducing the new CAT D2 series.
Improvements made with you in mind. A mechanically controlled engine designed to cope with Guyana's toughest conditions. Lower fuel consumption and less maintenance, which reduces your owning and operating costs. The highest productivity in the market. Robust design, which is built to last.
MarCorp, the only authorized Caterpillar dealer in Guyana, bringing integrated solutions for your success.
Let's build Guyana together.
Welcome back. Now for a look at your bridge reports. The Damrar Harbour Bridge will be closed on Saturday, April 26 at 14 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours, and the Berbice River Bridge will be closed on Saturday, April 26 at 14 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours. And with that, we've come to the end of the evening news for Friday, April 25, 2014. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching.